To Daily Focus here in Michigan. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas in January, but the snow is falling and has covered everything, and it's beautiful. And but and it's even warmed up a little bit. It tends to do that in Michigan. When you get a little snow, you tend to get a reprieve from the extreme colds. And so I think it's in the 20s today, and actually very beautiful. And God is replenishing the water on the earth through the means of snow, and He is faithfully managing the world and what it needs, and we get to watch it front and center and rejoice in the marvelous sovereignty and control of our great God. Revelation chapter 18, and we are in part 2 of Babylon is Fallen. And the Babylonian mindset is the secular humanism of the day. It started in the Tower of Babel way back when they said, you know what, we don't need God. We will build a tower into God, into the heavens. We will reach heaven on our own means. We don't need a sacrifice. We don't need a Messiah. We don't need a creator. We don't need God. All we need is our own intellect and our ability to determine our own morality. And and God confused the languages and divided the people, and reminded everyone that no, you're not going to be an entity to yourself. That's not why you were created. No matter how much you convince yourself that you can run your own life, you're not going to be able to do it. God is the God who's in control, and we thank God that He's in control. He sees what we cannot see, and He can do what we cannot do. So let's live in submission to the wonderful design of God, embracing the privilege to represent Him on this earth, because Jesus Christ is the answer to every one of man's problems. Well, here in chapter 18, we're going to start reading in verse number 9, and we're going to find how Babylon is going to be destroyed. God is destroying Babylon because of their wickedness. He is destroying Babylon because of what they have done and how they have treated Christians, and how at the very root of everything that they're trying to accomplish is to destroy Christianity and to destroy truth, and to put the entire world in deception. The third reason why He's going to destroy Babylon is because of the innocent people, the innocent sinners of the world, who are going to be eternally put into darkness because of their deception. Not only have they brutally treated Christians, but they have led astray so many people that will die as Babylon and the world is being destroyed because of their wickedness. Their deception has infected and affected people in the world negatively, and has and will affect them negatively forever. Now, you can say, but they had a chance. They did. So every person is without excuse because they make their own decisions. But the people who are doing the deceiving are not without blame. They still are wrong for deceiving the world. And so let's look at verse number 9. It says, "And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning." So as Babylon is destroyed, these world leaders around the world that have been supportive, who have been indulging in the secular humanism, the self-exaltation, the pursuit of fulfilling the lust of the flesh, these kings of the world, these people of the world who have supported and participated in this deception for the world and the pursuit of selfish gain, these individuals will look at Babylon being destroyed and will be sad, not for the destruction of Babylon, but because of how it's going to affect them, how it's going to take away some of their indulgences. And I fear that that's true of even Christians, Christians, when they see the consequence of sinful decisions in our culture or in our country, we sometimes don't bemoan the fact that they're wicked, that they are selfish, that they are sinful, and that sin brings these terrible consequences. We sometimes bemoan the fact that their consequences affect our pocketbook, affect our indulgences, the things that we would like to do. I if I if I could use an illustration, what if God, out of judgment, destroyed the entire cell phone industry? Would we understand it's because it's been used for a lot of sinful, evil things, and God had had enough? And that it violated God's holiness. It violated God's design. And so he ended. Would we be sad for the sin and how it violated the very character of God? Or would we be upset because we don't any longer have a cell phone? That's what is going on, is that these people are actually upset, not because of the sin being judged, but rather because of the fact that the sin being judged affects them negatively. It interrupts their life. And so there's still a selfishness that is being permeated in the world who has been under the effects of this deception. Verse number 10, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, the mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. In other words, God doesn't take long. God doesn't need a long time to produce judgment. He doesn't need a lot of time to completely destroy a prominent or powerful country, city, or entity. He doesn't need a long time. And in 1 hour, he destroys the hub of the entire one world government. And these people are watching it going, wow, they are definitely being judged by someone superior to them. They are being judged by God. But their bemoaning is not the judgment of God. The bemoaning is how it's going to affect them. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. In other words, not because of the sin, but because now they're not buying my stuff. I'm going to suffer economically, and that bothers me. The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and thyme wood and all manner of vessels of ivory and all manners of vessels of most precious wood and of brass and iron and marble and cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves, souls of men. By the way, that is talking about the human sex trafficking problem. And it is going to become a world problem under the Antichrist. We're seeing it already. There is a whole lot of the Epstein things that are under wraps, and people want to know the depths of the depravity. I'm not sure I even want to know. I think it's going to be heartbreaking. But how many of our politicians, how many of our world leaders, how many of our prominent people, economically or otherwise, have been involved in this slave trade of sex trafficking? I think it is a huge problem today, but it is going to be part of the major economic structure under the Antichrist. It's going to be accepted that they are enslaved to this type of industry. It's going to probably be protected. It's not going to be considered wrong. It's not going to be considered illegal. It's not going to be looked down on. It's going to be take advantage of whoever you have to in order to make more money. And it's such a sad, depraved outlook of life, but it's going to be a reality under the Antichrist. And the fruits of thy soul lusted after are departed from thee, and all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all. The merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for the fear of the torment, weeping and wailing and saying, alas, alas, the great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, for in 1 hour so great riches has come to naught. And every shipmaster and all the company of ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off and cried when they saw the smoke of the burning, saying, what city is like unto that great city? In other words, they're going to stand back and they're going to go, wow, this is crazy. This is incredible. And I'm so sad, not for the city, not for the sin, but because of the selfishness. This is going to cut into my profits. This is going to affect my livelihood. This is going to affect my business. And how sad that so many times when we're seeing people vote in America, that they're not voting morality. They're not voting right and wrong. They're not voting for what best reflects the designs of God, but how it's going to affect their life, how it's going to affect where they work, how it's going to affect their investments, how they think it's going to affect. That's exactly the same depravity that's put on display during the tribulation period in this last part, where God is going to destroy the one world government politically and economically. And then it says, rejoice over her, thou heaven. So here's the change of process. In other words, here's what's going on earth. Here's what's happening in heaven. There's joy in heaven. You say joy over the destruction of Babylon? No. The joy is over the defense of God's holiness. The joy is over the fact that God is righting wrongs. We don't have to try to defend ourselves. We don't need to, in a large way, try to vindicate our own reputation. God is in control of that. That's why at the end of Romans chapter 12, he says, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. In other words, I don't have to seek vengeance to people who wrong me. I can trust the Lord with all my heart and lean not unto my own understanding. Well, in this time frame, God is fulfilling all of what he promised to do. He is vindicating the saints who lost their life, whose lives were made miserable, who were made a spectacle for their testimony's sake. And God will be glorified, and all of heaven's going to rejoice in the defense of God's holy nature. And so they're not rejoicing over the loss of life. They're not rejoicing over even the fact that wicked people are getting their due. That's not what they're rejoicing over. They're rejoicing over the fact that God has proved the fact that what was always true, and that he's in control, even when it looked like they were in control, even when it looked like they were winning, even when it looked like that wickedness would reign supreme. God is in control. That's true today too. And he is allowing the wickedness of man that will even praise him as he shows his sovereign control and power over them one day. And so rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for God hath avenged you on her. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone. By the way, this is prophecy in Jeremiah 50, maybe 55, somewhere along there anyway. In Jeremiah, this is the fulfillment of that. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. God's going to completely destroy it. And the voice of harpers and musicians and pipers and trumpeters shall be heard no more at all in thee. And no craftsman in whatsoever craft he be shall be found any more in thee. And the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all in thee. In other words, all of industry, the entire economic collapse of the world. And God is going to take music that was designed to worship him and to exalt him, that the world has taken to exalt man, and he's going to destroy it. He's going to end it. He's going to say, you took everything that I gave you in order to worship me and to glorify me. And you've used it to worship and glorify man. And so I'm taking it all away from you. But all of heaven will be enjoying all of those things because we will be vindicated. We will be avenged. We will be seeing our great God, who has always been in control, exercise his sovereign control over the world. And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee, and the voices of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all. In other words, God's going to do away with all marriage. There's going to be no more marriage. Why? Because they didn't take the design of God and make it show the glory of God, but instead they've destroyed God's design for marriage, so he just takes it away. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by the sorceries were all nations deceived. And in her was found the blood of prophets and of saints and of all that were slain upon the earth. God's going to say, there is a payday coming someday. Can I just remind you, God's in control. What a wonderful, freeing understanding that I'm just to steward what God has given to me. I can't decide the results. I can't predict how it's all going to end, but I can do this. I can trust the Lord with all my heart. I can faithfully steward what he's entrusted to me, and I can live by faith, knowing my great God is in complete control. I hope you have a great day. I'll look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.